What's going on, everyone? Tallen back here, and today, if you can clearly tell by the background scenery, this is a little bit of a different video. A lot of people have been asking me for over a year now, probably, to make some kind of vlog-like video showing off, you know, where in Japan I live, why I moved here, and all that kind of stuff. I've always talked about it, but I've never really been able to make a video about it, and I need to get on that and finally do it. But another thing that a lot of people asked me to do was to show off my little trip that I took to Australia about 3 weeks ago at the time of this recording. And for the most part, it was kind of just your basic trip. I went there with my girlfriend. We walked around the town. We went snorkeling / diving. We went up into a rainforest near the mountains and everything. And it was a fun little trip. But the biggest thing that I kind of took away from it was that it allowed me to kind of take some natural pictures and videos of things that I saw there and maybe kind of use this as more of like a beta in terms of how I might want to do this for showing off Japan and why I live here and where I am and everything like that, and where I might go in the future and everything. So without further ado, this is mostly focusing on my trip to the Great Barrier Reef, actually. I'll throw in a few photos here and there, also showing off different things. But for now, I'm actually going to take away the camera. I'm mostly just going to have some voiceovers in certain parts. Other parts will have some kind of background music showing off the highlights and everything like that, and kind of just talking about my experiences. I would like some constructive feedback, though, on this, whether it was good or bad parts about the video. You know, let me know this part was good. I like the hint of music or something like that. Or why not do this instead of adding music to it, explain more about your feelings and everything like that. Please let me know. I've never done something like this before, so I definitely am. It's a huge learning curve for me, but I'm definitely excited to do it. So without further ado, here is my trip to the Great Barrier Reef. Alright, so first off, a little bit of background when it comes to the area we went to. We actually went down to Cairns, Australia. It is the closest point for me to fly from Japan. And by the way, I did take this trip with my girlfriend, who a lot of you have probably seen on some of my streams and everything like that. So being the travel master that she is, she was able to find a pretty good deal for us. And we decided, you know what, she's got some summer time off. I've got 5 summer days in terms of my job. Let's go take a small vacation. And one of the things I definitely wanted to do when she mentioned to going to Australia, I was like, you know what? I want to go diving or snorkeling or do something in the Great Barrier Reef. So we started researching places that we can go, tours we could do, and everything like that. And we found one. And first off, what we had to do is when we got there in the morning around like 7:45 in the morning, because it's a good hour and a half to take the boat and go out to the reef. And they told us, you know what, we're going to give you 2 snorkeling areas to go through, or diving, depending on what you wanted to do. We'll provide lunch and everything. Here's the trip, you know, here's how much it costs and everything. And I was like, all right, I'm here for it. Let's keep doing this. So when we took the boat originally from the dock in Cairns, it took, again, about an hour and a half, and there was some rocky waves. And we were pretty much at the end by the time you get to the reef. The first spot they take us is actually at the deep end. Basically, if you have ever seen Finding Nemo, when Marvin and his wife have the eggs, you know, waiting for them to all be born, and then, spoiler alert, the wife dies and most of the eggs are taken away. That spot right there is called the drop-off. We were literally right there, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, obviously, from right now, you should be seeing the first interactions of me actually going around and diving and trying to, or snorkeling around mostly. I didn't actually get to do diving because you had to, like, certify yourself. We didn't have time for that, but I definitely want to do it next time. But at first, you know, it's really shallow around the reef and everything. There's a lot of different species that you can see, a lot of different animals and all that stuff. But one thing that they told us was like, oh yeah, by the way, you go 10 minutes that way to your left, you're at the drop-off basically into the ocean. I was like, oh. All right, let's not go that way just yet. So it made me think about that. You know, I was like, oh, I just kind of saw this in the movie, right? Like, just the premise of just how vast and wide open something like the ocean is. And when I first dived in there, I was like, oh, just breathing generally, you know, with the whole snorkel thing and everything. I was just like, this is actually really different to what I'm used to. I mean, obviously I'd been swimming, whether it's through sailing or in a pool or anything like that, but it was a lot different being out in the reef, knowing that, oh, this is real. This is pretty cool stuff right here. So, but the first one was at the edge of the reef, again, like I said before, the drop off, and it was pretty cool. One of the many things that we actually found when we were going around, besides obviously fish and everything, and by the way, yes, we did find a Nemo. We found 2 actually. Is a lot of the little like plant life essentially. A lot of things are definitely alive, and because it was the winter technically down there, but it is more of a tropical area. It was really cool to see just what was around there, what lived in that area. Because when you think of just simply shallow like salt water, mostly you think of like a beach or some kind of area where it's just like, okay, you might find this little hermit crab or something and maybe some seaweed, and that's about it, right? Everything else is at the end of the ocean, way out in the deep end, and everything's like, not really actually. I mean, granted, it is a deep area to actually get out to the reef, but the reef itself spans a lot of the coast there along Australia. So it was pretty cool to kind of see that difference of, hey, 2 minutes over here to my left is dark, deep blue ocean with sharks and whales and everything. And here's the reef with turtles, fish, and lots of plant life, actually. So it was definitely something that, again, it was, you had to see it to believe it. Even this video is probably not even really doing this justice. But overall, the first area was a great experience. Going around, actually, my girlfriend actually she wasn't used to the salt water, actually, so she had to rest a little bit, and so I decided to kind of just swim off on my own, because you could either be with a couple of the divers that were kind of like the tour guides, essentially, or you can go off on your own. And what I decided to do, of course, within a certain range, I decided I was like, all right, got my GoPro on my arm, let's go, let's just start finding things. And it was cool just starting to explore everything, but you had to be careful because that current from the water, because if you, unfortunately, this is one picture I wish I could have gotten, but unfortunately I couldn't, is that when you were at the reef, when you're in the reef, being that close to the deep end, essentially, creates a lot of strong waves. There's a strong current, and it was always pulling you away from the reef. It was like, get away from the reef, essentially. So when you were exploring, you'd be very careful. There are a couple of times where I was going around, I was like, wait a minute, why am I like all the way back at where I almost started, essentially? And so you have to be really careful there, but it was really cool because sometimes even when you got pulled away like that, you actually got to see something new that you never thought you were going to see. My 2 goals when it came to, going around and swimming around the reef was to either A, see a turtle, I want to see Crush, and second was to either find some really cool fish or if I was really lucky, find some kind of reef shark or something like that. Couldn't find either, unfortunately. The reef shark, my girlfriend found, but I wasn't with her, so I couldn't get it on camera or anything. But she's like, yeah, I saw a reef shark. I was like, you're really lucky. I'm not going to lie. I'm really jealous right now. It was definitely something interesting, to say the least. But as eventually she was able to get used to all of the salt water and swimming and everything, and it took a while for both of us. But by the time we got to the second area, we're just like, okay, we are focused and we really want to go. And it was interesting because it felt, at least to us, or the people on the boat said that, oh yeah, we traveled for around 45 minutes from one part of the reef to another, but it literally felt like 10-15 minutes at most. But it was so interesting to see both the similarities between one point of the reef and the other, and also the differences. They gave us some background information about how the last like 7 or 8 years or something like that, certain things have happened to the reef that have damaged it actually, and that it has started to actually grow back. So seeing one part of the reef that was flourishing and really healthy and everything compared to another part that was like half flourishing and half almost kind of destroyed, to be honest, I was at loss for words, to be honest. I mean, there are definitely a less amount of animals around the second part of the reef, but at the same time, if you went to the second, when you're at the second area and we looked at the more healthy areas, you could start to see life slowly coming back to it. We saw this giant clam, essentially, which hopefully you're seeing on the screen right now, but it was really cool. And I was just like, the guy told me, he's just like, yeah, that wasn't there 3 years ago. It's like, oh, all right, so things are coming back, so it was pretty cool. And it was interesting to see the different types of fish or wildlife that you could see in one area compared to the other. And it's like, but wait, you're only half an hour apart from each other. Why isn't everything mixing and everything like that? So it was interesting. It definitely was. I guess maybe fish or animals that are coming from the vast deepness of the ocean might hang out at the corner of the reef compared to someone who is at the middle of it, or maybe like a quarter of the way into it or something like that. So it was really interesting just to see. And I know this video is not doing it justice again, but it was just really... It was really fun. It was really cool to see, and I honestly can't wait to go back. If there's one thing I regret when it comes to not doing on this little part of the trip. It was not diving, honestly. I wanted to keep going more. I wanted to see more areas of the reef, and it was a full day trip, and we were out of there by 8 a.m., and we got back by 5 p.m., and I was just like, it felt like nothing. It felt like maybe half an hour at most. And I was just like, man, I really want to go back. So I'm hoping next time I can definitely go diving, you know, get to see a lot more of the wildlife and everything. They said that if you go back through them and you tell them, hey, by the way, I did this 2 years ago with you guys and we went here and here, so we're going to take you to a different area. I'm hoping we can get a different area, because actually the tour was really nice. I really did like it. So for anyone who's traveling to Australia, especially if you're in Cairns or anywhere near the reef or near the water, I would definitely say try to go snorkeling / diving if you possibly can. It is a lot of fun. Definitely something to keep in mind if you go there. And I honestly can't wait to go back. It was a blast. It was a lot of fun. And I hope to do it again. So anyway, guys, that was the end of my little trip. I know, obviously, not that very long. But I hope you guys got to enjoy and see some of the scenery. If you've never been into the reefs or that kind of water or just the area of Australia itself, it was a lot of fun and I highly recommend it. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this little vlog video. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. As always, leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you happen to be new for more of these. Let me know if you want me to do more of these. Yes, I promise. Don't worry. I'll try to get the Japan one done as soon as possible. Just trying to get other things done as well. So anyway, guys, like I said before, thank you for stopping by. Until next time, everyone, I will see you all in the next one.